address what happened here at the start of the press conference, and was it related to your injury from earlier this year where you suffered a concussion? Is that?
No, I'm fine.
You're fine. You're fully able to do your job.
No.
Mr. Lear, can I just get?
Okay, so he says, I'm fine. And he goes on. And then he started talking again and he made a joke about Biden. Can you imagine if Biden experienced that exact same thing, what they would be saying? And honestly, if that happened, they would probably be onto something. But anyway, I agree with you. Like, there is a thing where they all think that they're Supreme Court justices and they're supposed to die in office. And I don't think that that's the way that it has to work.
And that's not even the way it was supposed to be initially, even from the framers. And anybody can have, John, as you laid out, a synapse lapse, anybody at any age. But we do know if we're following the path of Mother Nature, that the older we all become, the more likely those things are to happen. They don't have to. And you use Senator Bernard Sanders as a great example. I can tell you somebody that was on the campaign trail with that man, both in 2016 and 2020. Hell, I had to give up my high heel shoes for Converses just to keep up with him. So that's real, it's really real. And we know that elders in other countries definitely enjoy a more vibrant lifestyle because it's connected to food and diet. And not that we're here to analyze all of that, but the bottom line is that we have the ultra elderly or the ultra seasoned folks really running that Congress. And there really is no middle ground. When I think about my generation, Gen X, Gen X is basically missing in action totally, because that particular generation decided that they wanted to keep all the power and keep it until they go to glory or wherever they're going, because everybody ain't going to glory. Sad to see that happen to him.
Yeah.
And it is time for people like him and Senator Feinstein and others just to kind of reevaluate. Have you done all that you can do in that office? It might be time to change roles. And that could be a role of, an advisory role, more of an elder role. Doesn't mean they got to totally sit down, but my God, why continue to do this?
And it doesn't mean that you have to, just because you retire doesn't mean you have to set aside all of your interests. You could work tirelessly to advance the interests of the richest people in the country as a hobby, for instance. You could do that. And to the people who love Mitch McConnell most, his donors, you're gonna be able to find tons of people who have not a single thought in their head. They're not ideological. They'll just give you whatever you want if you pay them. So don't worry too much about losing Mitch McConnell. Now, really fast, I just want to acknowledge, he did fall, as we said, at a Washington hotel in March, sustaining a concussion, which is obviously serious. It's serious no matter what. If you're 81, it's particularly serious. His allies have rejected any suggestion that his abilities have declined, although he does seem to physically move slower. He struggled with hearing loss. By the way, I didn't know this. When he was a child, he had polio. So a lifetime of some health difficulties. And there's been a couple attempts to explain what might have happened. Dr. Lee Schwam, a neurologist and stroke expert at Yale, and another urologist said it could have been a transient ischemic attack, a sort of mini stroke or a partial seizure. They say a regular seizure could potentially explain it. We don't know, and obviously we're not entitled to private health, details about our elected officials, but this is the sort of thing that I would be worried about if I was one of his constituents, if I was one of his aides. Maybe at a certain point, you don't need to be in Capitol Hill. Anyway, Any final thoughts before we move on?
No, I'm with you on that, John. Just period. People have to reevaluate, and there's nothing wrong with reevaluating your life and what role one should play throughout the stages of their lives.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.